I've been called arrogant.
Yeah, but I told you I was kidding when I said that.
That's all right. I don't care if you call me arrogant. It's about China. Because they're doing some stuff in Venezuela. And this guy's, you don't know anything. I'm like, okay. Well, first of all, it's being reported everywhere. So, secondly, I do have sources.
Fake news.
Fake news. And I do have sources. And my sources are pretty damn good. And, when they fail me, then I'll know not to listen to them anymore. But I've been saying Venezuela for a while, and everybody's like, no, you're not. You're an idiot. Okay. I hope I'm wrong. Hope we don't do anything. Hope we turn the Gerald R. Ford super aircraft carrier, nuclear-powered ass-cracking machine around and take it away from there. And then he said, well, you're arrogant. You don't know all the classified information. No, but you don't put, it's like, what was the movie Braveheart? We're at that point where are you going? I'm going to pick a fight. Oh, we didn't get dressed up for nothing. That's kind of what we're at now. Well, we didn't get dressed up for nothing. I remember my buddy Mike Lyons, is my military analyst. I try to have him on he's on in my morning show, but it's tough here because he's got other things to do and he's on a bunch of other stuff. Plus he still teaches, I think, at West Point and things. And the other cool thing is, this is cool. This is why Mike's the bomb. He works for the Islanders and the NHL in the penalty box.
What's that entail?
So he's like one of the scorekeeper guys inside the penalty box. So he opens it up, makes sure they're okay. What do they need? Write stuff. It's totally cool.
Is he like the timekeeper for how long
kind of
they
like
have
that. It's
to
pretty
stay
cool.
in there?
When they come in, when they come out.
Oh.
It's like the mini referee in the penalty box. It's cool. But and somebody said, well, it could be like the Cuban Missile Crisis with China. China is not putting nukes there. China. Do you think that we would allow China to do that and not do something ridiculous and push back in such a way?
We'd be putting nukes in Taiwan.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why that's not going to happen. And they don't, first of all, for all of the stuff, China does, they're not interested in a fight. They're not. Because it's a fight they wouldn't win. Yeah, it would be mutually assured. It's weird. It's not total destruction. But it would be close. But the thought, there's just no reason for us to go in there. There isn't. Maduro. We're going after Maduro. Well, that guy. I guess, yes, he's an idiot. So what? Let them deal with it.
But, Chad, we can't let people eat zoo animals.
I think they're gone with the zoo animals. I don't think they have any left.
I wonder what tiger tastes like.
There was a place in Newport Beach, California, like 10, 15 years ago that served lion for like one night. And PETA was out there. Oh, they were everywhere.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing people easily get. You can eat a cow, but you can't eat a lion.
Did you see the movie The Freshman? That was with Marlon Brando and what's his name? Ferris Bueller. Forget his name. Matthew Broderick.
Oh, yes.
Where spoiler alert, so if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. And, Brando played him. He played a caricature of himself as like, a Don. But the whole thing was they were trying to get people to eat a exotic animal, the last one of its kind. And it was supposed to be like a Komodo dragon. It was a Salvatore monitor, a big lizard, and something like that. And it was just hilarious, though, because the amount of money rich people did pay to go and like dine on something that was what? That was unique, and it's the forbidden.
And nobody else would be able to.
That's it. Nobody else would
unless we clone them in that back now, which we can do.
Yeah.
I want to know what dire wolf tastes like now.
I do wonder what dire wolf would taste like. We're never going to find them, man. Those things are getting big. They're getting huge.
I do want to know what dodo tastes like.
I don't know if we'll get the dodo. You know what's going to be interesting about them, because they're, besides the fact that they're bringing back stuff, colossal, like the dire wolves and some of that stuff, the other stuff that they're doing is they're taking all of this stuff and figuring out ways to not bring stuff back, but save things that are close to extinction. And that I think is really cool. Man, and wait till AI figures it out. Oh, here's one. You're such an idiot. The tariffs that you say we pay, but you don't think we should want a check from that money. Everyone else at the station takes calls so things can be debated. You don't. No, because I've just talked about 12 different things right here.
We're $38 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
We have a deficit this year of $1.8 billion.
Yeah.
No, $1.8 trillion, but somehow there's money to throw around.
Yeah. Yeah, money to throw around. I mean, the fact that they're even talking about it. And remember, guys, if you're all those of you, I know I'm an idiot and I suck and I'm the worst and whatever, and you're not very good at this and, whatever. I'm fine with that. I get that every day. But I will tell you this. You're fine with the amount of money we're spending. You're fine with, we should want that money. Well, why shouldn't we want more? What do you think they're going to get it? They're going to print more money, which devalues money. They're not getting it because it's in an account. So, and also, unless they get a magical ruling, there's two things that could happen with our tariffs. And one of them is they say, hey, you got to pay it all back and you can't do this. You don't have the right to do this. Well, that's not good. So where do you think that comes from? Oh, and here's the other thing about the tariffs. Much of what Trump was promised in his, we got $800 trillion coming in, whatever he says, a lot of that was based on tariffs and certain things like that. So do you think those people are going to be investing here if they don't get what they wanted? No, probably not. So the other thing that has to happen is once they have a ruling, which they should rule fast on, and you can't let this go for months because you're just building a bigger hole otherwise. If we have to pay it back, you get money and then they get money? How's that work? How much more debt? We're going to have to double.
I always find it extraordinarily humorous when a person who identifies as conservative wants some free stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, it would all be great if we could just hand out money. But the last time I checked, we handed out some money a few years ago. Then we handed out more. Then we handed out another bunch of money. And then it got us in this mess of inflation.
It got us 9.8% inflation?
Yeah, which is probably closer to 12, 15. So, no, that's why you don't. And then the other thing is I think that they're going to rule against Trump, but they're going to do it in a way where we as a nation don't have to pay it back, and they'll come up with some other stuff, maybe some tax write-offs and stuff like that. That's what, But I love people conservative, like you said. Oh, yeah, man, I'm fiscally conservative, but I want my money. Oh, but I thought you want to pay down the debt. Although I will say there's a lot of texters who are like, no, put that money towards the debt. Yeah. So put the money towards the debt.
Unfortunately, would be barely a blip.
Yeah, well, of course. But it's better than nothing.
That's very true.
And it's better than going further in debt.
Well, we're going to do that anyway.
Like, if we could just break even once, I think it'd be a celebration. Just get close to breaking even one year. My goodness.
We got the Republicans in charge of the House, and we're running one of the biggest deficits the country's ever seen. It's just hilarious to me.
I've just been called fake news. That's another one of my good ones. Fake news. I don't like what you're saying. Fake news.
You don't make me feel good. You're a bad person.
Fake news. Chad, you say it's free stuff. I call reparations from Joe Biden administration. That's funny.
We ain't got money for reparations.
Yeah, we don't have any of that. That's why those things are so funny. The reparations. That's always been one of my favorite things. I love because like those liberal states like California stuff, they put together committees and they do all this, and then they're like, "Hey, we think we should do this," and then even Gavin Newsom's all, "No." Why? Because we couldn't afford it. We would go so far in debt that California they couldn't even dream of it. I think the last thing they offered up was everybody in California. First of all, how do you even prove any of it, right? But then when you go back far enough, because then it's like, okay, but wait a minute. What if your family, because what we're finding out is some families, well, they were, when you get back further, you found out that you were maybe came from a family that owned slaves, but that maybe you are also part of a family that you didn't know about that also was slaves. So, but they think.
Well, and why shouldn't the people that sold them into slavery be paying reparations?
Yeah, that's right. We got to go over there to Africa, ask them for some. We're kind of staying out of Africa. It's our jam. But I think the cost was they wanted, I think everybody was going to get $1 million or $2 million, and then they got like $50,000 a year for life. And they looked at it and they're like, "This will be $400 quadrillion. It can't happen."
I was born a poor black child.
Yes. Yes. Somebody said, I don't think Trump's lawyers understand the tariff thing. I don't think Trump's lawyers get what Trump is trying to do because Trump's lawyers just don't get it. They can't relay a valid argument. No, they get it. The problem is they understand that you can't argue what he's trying to do. That was it. I mean, I don't think Trump's, he didn't put Rudy Giuliani up there to argue. And Trump got himself in trouble because he talked about it being revenue. Well, one of the things in the emergency thing is, and with tariff, it's not supposed to be revenue. So that right there became something where it's like, okay, he's telling you this.
It's like when, who's the Chief Justice?
Roberts.
Yeah, when Roberts called the Obamacare fine a tax, that gave the Republicans permission to get rid of it in the tax bill. If he hadn't called it a tax, they wouldn't have been able to deal with it in a tax bill.
And then they could have gotten rid of it. They would have made it invalid, and they would have to go back to the drawing board to figure out how we could make it more expensive. If it would have been a fine or something like that, but it was the tax. And once you figured that out, away it went. So a lot of text coming in. And the reason we don't take calls is because, well, you know what? If you guys want the honest truth, like the real, because we've done all kinds of market research and we've done research for years, and we found out that other listeners don't like listening to other listeners.
Well, the true reason is I don't want to screen calls.
Screening calls. You guys have no idea how much he hates screening calls. He hates it so much.
I'm in here trying to watch soap operas, and you guys are calling in. That doesn't work for me.
Mm. You also said the Republicans were going to give out on a bunch of the shutdown. That was wrong. Yeah, that was great. I'm glad. I thought it was going to be sooner. I got something wrong. Oh, hey guys, I'm going to get stuff wrong in the future. That happens.
I was just glad we broke the record. I felt
we got to a point where Bell's like, I hope we get past 35 days. This has got to happen at this point. This has got to happen. I was surprised that the Democrats gave out that fast. But who gave out? People that don't have to worry about being reelected. That's who gave out. If you're worried about here's the thing, even if the Epstein stuff, if you think about it, if you're a senator and you're not worried about being reelected next year and you think you see some stuff and it should come out and you want to vote in the Senate, you don't have anything to worry about if you're 4 years away from being, even having to worry about being reelected. So, and by then Trump will be gone, so it won't matter.
I saw a leftist on Twitter who said that all the Democrats that voted in the shutdown should all be primaried. And I was thinking, do you even pay attention to the details at all?
No, nobody does. Nobody does. Nobody does. By the way, so somebody said, "Amen. I don't need to hear what my neighbor thinks."
That's why I don't talk to them in the first place.
Yeah, you have no idea. For years I always said, well, everybody's like, here's the beauty of the world that we live in now. If you guys aren't happy, go start your own podcast. It's easy. It's easy to start a podcast.
Yeah, if you got something interesting to say.
Yeah. What I found out by, I don't know, the 30 plus years I've done this business is, man, my wife would say, is that easy to do? I'm like, it's totally easy to do. For some people. For others, it's not. You put people in front of a microphone, it's like putting people in front of a camera. Deers in a headlight.
Yeah.
It is. It is. All right, coming up, we got some more fun stuff. We'll take some of your text messages. We got some of those. Those are fun. And that's why we do it, too, because I can answer back to you guys 50 people at a time. Sometimes we move so fast because we're already moving on to this, and we're moving to that, and other people are texting about different things. It's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of it. Plus, we like the fact that you text horrible things to us and tell us you're never going to listen again, and then we have receipts, and then you listen later on, and we laugh. That also makes us smile.
Yeah, I get a kick out of that.
We all do.
Never listening again.
Okay, talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, it's a Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Epstein files. Now there's a new one that has come out, not a file, but an email. Are you ready for this one, guys? He wrote disturbing emails to himself before his suicide that said Trump knew. And I say suicide with a wink.
He wrote emails to himself?
Yeah, like he was like crafting emails, like he wanted stuff protected and hidden, you know, for posterity. He wrote a paranoid email to himself months before the death, rambling on about Donald Trump. The disgraced pedophile billionaire claimed that President Trump often visited his home in Palm Beach. And then he also downplayed, like, oh, the girls came back. They wanted the money. They did this. They did that. It was no big deal. Because most of them are in their 20s. So,
yeah, that makes the 13 and 14-year-olds okay.
Yeah. He said most of them were in their 20s. What a scumbag. I mean, nobody feels bad about his death. Let's be honest. You could have probably sold tickets to watching the pedophile scumbag get crushed. So, but, you know, look, the thing with the Epstein files, the more that you hide it, like you said, it's the Streisand effect. The more that you hide, the more that you protect it, the more that you talk around it, walk around it, and ignore it in a way where 50 people raise their hand to ask a question, and you say, does anybody else here not have any other question outside of Epstein? And all 50 people put their hands down. Then, you know, what do you have? So, look, we're never going to get to the true bottom of this until we always thought we'd get to the bottom of like JFK, RFK, MLK, all of them. But we really haven't, right? They weren't released the way that they said they were. They flood because that's what the Republicans did yesterday. The Democrats selectively sensed, well, you're only going to, they only pick these ones because it's bad. Well, if I go through 5,000 pieces of something and I'm looking for one piece of evidence, I'm not going to release 5,000 pieces of stuff where it means nothing to the case. So, but the Trump new thing is, because now you're hearing ramblings on the Hill that there are a lot more Republicans that are willing to vote to release this as they're starting to get some more and more of this. And as you know, they're a little bit more aware. Here's my thing. How do you, so Bell, put yourself in this position. You're a Republican, right? And this is all hypothetical. God willing, none of this stuff happens.
Yeah, that's definitely hypothetical.
Yeah. But, yeah, definitely. If you're a Republican and you're defending this, but you've got some issues, right? Because you got a wife and you got girls and you think about these things and there's a lot going on here because you were pushing for it too. And now the administration could be in a perilous position. You then go and find out all of this stuff and you defended it, man. How do you defend that to voters?
Well, not only that, how do you defend it to your kids?
Yeah.
Your wife?
Yeah. So
I don't think that's, that's, as you like to say, that's not a good look.
No, it's not.
And if you, everybody, due process is very important. And I think a lot of what these emails are talking about is exaggerated.
Yeah.
And it makes me very suspect when I hear that he was writing emails to himself. But the truth shall set you free.
I write emails to myself.
Well, you're nuts.
I don't know. So
he made it, like I said at the beginning of the show, this is a self-inflicted wound. He should have just never promised to release the damn files.
Yeah, there's no doubt this is a self-inflicted wound. And it's not going to go anywhere. And it's only going to get louder now. And I really think he thought with everything gone, for everybody gone for those days, and they've been on recess for 50-some days or whatever it is, vacation, and all this other stuff, I think he thought that, okay, well, now this is done and dusted. And the minute not everybody was back, but they were coming back that day, and it was all out in a second. Coming up, mass transit. It doesn't work for the average person, let's be honest. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson, Super Talk 997. Dun, dun. I like, Bell, that was funny when you said that guy. You're the worst person. Everybody in the station disagrees with you, and everybody else disagrees with you. Did you poll everybody?
Can I see the polling data, please?
Yeah. And by the way, for some people out there who are so just, crazed about certain things and who are just, like somebody earlier were talking about this, and somebody finally, just say it. Just say it. I don't care what happened to those kids. I don't care what happened to those girls. I just want a strong economy and immigration fix. Okay, just say it. Okay, you said it. And what's the old saying? Your boos mean nothing because I've seen what you people cheer for. Oh, geez.
Rick Sanchez.
There you go. The great Rick Sanchez, one of the greats of our time. I don't know if you're aware of this. Democrats love choo-choo trains, buses, mass transportation. Oh.
The only reason they're not into horses is because they can't get enough of them to use.
Well, and because they would probably fart, and that would lead to global warming, and you can't have that. And the minute we could have a non-farting horse that wouldn't lead to global warming, they'd be all over it.
In 2015, approximately 80 people a day were moving to Nashville. By 2023, the Nashville Chamber of Commerce said that number jumped to an average of 86 newcomers a day. That population surge translates into congested roadways and traffic backups, with critics claiming the city is decades behind on a viable mass transit solution. Zach Accardi, director of mobility choices at the Natural Resources Defense Council, published his study called Derailed, taking a hard look at why Nashville hasn't been able to get this right.
You know why other places have got it right? Because they did it long before there was the crunch. Could you imagine today if they tried to build the subway in New York today? I mean, it's even now when they do stuff, first of all, the cost would be just through the roof. But secondly, no, so many of these things were built in conjunction or even before because they saw the opportunity and they went for it. And places that do mass transit well, you know what they are? They build up, not out. A vast majority of the country, we build out. So we don't live, we may work here, but we don't live here. So what does that mean? Well, that means you got to drive here.
Starting with former Mayor Megan Barry her Let's Move Nashville campaign. Mayor Barry's transportation plan had a price tag of over $5 billion to build the city's first ever light rail system spanning 26 miles, along with 4 rapid bus routes. How to pay for it? A 0.5% to 1% sales tax, a hotel surcharge tax, a rental car tax, and a surcharge on business and excise tax. But it bombed at the polls, with about 60% of voters rejecting it.
The specific routes that they were prioritizing missed the mark in terms of meeting the actual transportation needs of the communities that they were trying to serve.
What? They missed the mark? What? They missed?
That's not possible. Government was working on it.
About 8 years ago, California, they got the big choo-choo trains going to go really fast. They built like 8 feet of it, and they're like $95 billion over budget. And the place that they're going to run the choo-choo train is a place that you would want it to go as fast as possible, but it won't. And nobody lives in either of those places. It's going to go from like Bakersfield to Chowchilla, which is where a prison is. So there you go. I know that because my sister was there. Not working either. She was there. But LA did this blue line, and it went like 5 miles, and they spent like $12 billion on it. This was spectacular. And the first weekend, they had a big celebration, and they gave everybody free rides. And this is the perfect example of wasting your money. Monday morning in like the LA Times, a big thing saying, yeah, this thing's going to lose so much money and will never turn a profit. Because we are not a nation, for the most part, we're a car nation. Some states are even more than regular, like Florida, California, us for the most part. We like driving.
Another big reason Accardi said it failed, Mayor Barry's transit plan went to the polls without her. The disgraced mayor resigned months earlier after admitting to a 2-year extramarital affair with her head of security.
Got to throw that in there.
and pleaded guilty to felony theft of property, ordered to repay the city $11,000. An investigation revealed taxpayer-funded trips, overtime pay for her security, and nude photos found on a work phone. By the time Mayor Freddie O'Connell was elected in 2023, he had better luck with voters, approving his Choose How You Move referendum and a half-a-penny sales tax increase, which puts a major emphasis on improving existing bus routes.
Now, again, okay, the improving bus routes, that's a little bit better than trying to reinvent the wheel with something that nobody wants. But again, it goes back to, if you really want to find out how people feel about this, what do? Do you want a car? Oh, you want a car? You want a car? You want a car? Yeah, of course you want a car. Of course you do. I think these people have this fantasy, and I may be wrong. We'll have Freddie on one day, but I may be wrong. And I think I think a lot of people, especially, as we joke about with the Democrats and their love of old style transportation, is they think people that live in, Franklin, right, or Murfreesboro or somewhere else, their goal is to get on a bus and come in, right? Like, that's the goal. How do we get you out of your car? How do we get you to do that? They're not doing that. Do you know how long it would take you? Have you ever looked up if you've ever wanted to go to Google and Google something from here to here, it'll tell you how long the drive is. It'll also tell you how long it'll walk there. But always look and see how long it would take public transportation for you to get where you're going at a certain distance. And you find out, oh, that's insane.
In most U.S. cities, and I think Nashville included, the bus really is the best tool for the job. It's more affordable, it's more flexible, and it's already a system that exists in the city, so it's easy to expand and build upon.
While that sounds good in theory, many people have expressed fear riding the bus, especially after a rash of recent incidents.
And can I just say, you get what you pay for. I mean, we have terror in the skies every once in a while from people screaming and yelling, but you don't get people going, I'm afraid I might get mugged on the plane.
In September 2024, vandals sprayed bullets during a drive-by shooting at the Gallatin Pike bus stop. In November 2024, a random killing. A Florida man stabbed another rider to death waiting at the Harding Place bus stop.
That's a Florida man vacation. You know what? I haven't stabbed somebody in a different state.
At 5:15 a.m. And a few days after that, 2 teenagers got into a deadly shootout at the WeGo downtown Central bus station. One 15-year-old died, the other took off running and was eventually arrested.
That's not again, the bus, as several of you have just chimed in, nobody wants to get on the damn bus. Nobody wants to sweat. Nobody wants to be stuck somewhere for hours on the damn bus. They just don't. I mean, cities like ours are built for cars and built for people who want to live outside because, first of all, it's affordable for a lot of people. And you want control. Man, when I lived in London, I could literally go downstairs, walk outside. There's a bus stop and a bus every 3 or 4 minutes. I'd hop on and take off, and I would go up to, if I was going somewhere that I need a bus, or I walk a half a block and I get in the underground and I get to work. That was great. I could do that. We don't have that. We don't, because we drove. But I tell you, I lived for a year outside of London, and I worked in London, and this was because trying to find a parking space in London is really hard, and it's super expensive, kind of like New York. I would have to drive from my house to Camberley, which is where we lived. I would have to get on a train, take a train for 45 minutes into the city. From there, I would have to take either hop on a bus or get a cab to a place where, or walk for a half a mile to get on the underground to get to where I was going. It was like 90 minutes to 2 hours sometimes. Nobody wants that. Nobody does. And you know what else they don't want? They don't want taxes over stuff that they look and go, why are you doing this? When in reality, most people don't want it. It would be great if we used it, but we don't use it. We don't. So love hearing from all of you. John Fetterman, hospitalized after falling near his home. Somebody said earlier the Clintons got to him. They did not get to him. They did not. So just to point that out there. Several of you chiming in about all the stuff we're talking about. We talked about a lot of stuff today. Somebody says, why are you still talking about Epstein? Do you know how many things we talked? We just talked about this. We talked about education, government shutdown, right? All of Ozzy Osbourne, AI, so many things. That's what we do here. We have a myriad of things that we talk about. Sean says, Chad, this is exactly why Greyhound sucks. It takes 4 times longer to get where you're going. Yes, it does. Absolutely does. It's crazy.
And it usually smells like pee.
Yeah, it does. And you never know which one of it. You get on there and you look around and go, all right, which one of these guys is a serial killer? By the way, a serial killer on the Greyhound bus. Come on. You don't want to get killed by somebody who can't even afford to have a car. Well, his license was suspended and he doesn't want to break the law.
Remember that story about the Greyhound rider who decapitated the guy?
Yeah, right? The stories you could get from the Greyhound bus guy or gal have to be spectacular. And the good news is that a lot of times that's how we send our fighting men and women home. Oh, my Lord. Coming up, Matt. Yeah, baby, Matt. We love ourselves some Matt. He's going to join it. I heard all I heard is he says he's going to tell me the story, and I'm going to ask him about it. The knife story. So you got to talk about the knife story. Have you heard the knife story, Bell? You haven't heard?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, he's going to tell us about his knife story. We'll do that straight ahead. Just wrap up the show. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997. Here's Growing Pains. Hey, check this out. This is my Epstein song. This is my band, Deranged Monkeys. What do we call it? Deranged Monkeys? Is that what we call it, Bill?
Demented.
Demented.
Got a little Green Day going on.
Yeah.
A little Green Day going on.
Here we go.
The Epstein file locked in the night. No one's talking but the truth's inside.
All right, here we go. Those are our crazy. We got Bell playing he's on the drums. We got Ken rocking out. No head. Yeah, it's amazing how good he is on the drums. And I'm the lead singer. We have a lot of fun there.
How does he bang his head when he doesn't?
Well, it's just the hair, because the whole thing is his hair is extra big when he's rocking and rolling.
That's true. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I need to know the knife story because you were telling it out there.
So I was in college. I was dating. This was in response to Dan Mandis and Chris Hand threatening on their podcast when they were recording their podcast today to drop this weekend, and they were threatening to tell old crazy girlfriend stories. And so I dropped them a text and I said, I had one pull a knife on me, a butcher knife. And so they wanted me to tell that story. So I relate it to you that I had a girlfriend in college for about a year and a half, and she was going to graduate school and moving out of town. I lived in Carrollton, Georgia. She was moving to Athens. And we had both agreed that we would probably kind of split up and see other people and maybe still get together from time to time, but we would not be boyfriend and girlfriend anymore because we recognized, the distance and all of that. So I was in a show, in a play with another person who had eventually became my first wife. And Jennifer, the butcher knife girl in question, asked me, hey, are you seeing her? Like, are you doing anything with her? And I was like, oh, no, of course not. And, of course, I was.
Yeah, it's good.
Right? But I'm like, she's gone in a week and a half. Let's just split. I'm not going to get into all of that. She said, well, just tell me if you are. And I was like, well, I'm not. So there you go. So she borrowed my car to move stuff, physically move furniture and stuff. I had a big old Trailblazer. And she borrowed my vehicle to move stuff. And she comes back into town, and I'm at work, and she comes by my work, and she said, can I crash at your place for an hour or two before I go back to Athens? And I said, sure. And she goes back to my place, and she starts rifling through my things and realizes that I was, in fact, seeing Lee. And she got very, very angry. And so she called me on the phone at work. She was screaming, ah!
As you do.
As you do. And I was like, holy crap. So I get off the phone. I was working at Subway at the time. I said, I got to go. I got to get back. I got a situation. So I bust it home. She is actively throwing my crap out of the apartment.
Wow.
When I pull into the apartment, she has a lamp over her head and she's throwing it, and she threw it at the car. And she goes back in and she's throwing kitchen knickknacks, and she's throwing things around. So I jump out of the car and I run into the car, and as I run into the house, and as I run into the apartment, you run through the living room into the kitchen, and she runs into the kitchen, and the dishwasher was open and there was a knife, and she grabbed the knife and turned around and came at me with the knife.
I can see why you marry her.
No, this was not the one I married.
This was not the marrier.
Oh.
And so I had to literally, it's the only time in my life that I've had to do that. I mean, I literally had to grab her by the hand, and I had took the hand with the knife in it and slammed it against the doorway to get her to drop the knife. And so she immediately wrenches her way away from me and runs out the back door. So at some point in the melee, in the scrum, the front door got closed. And so as she runs out the back door slams, there's a beat. I'm like, holy crap, what just happened here? That was intense. Adrenaline's rushing. I just bang on the front door. And I go to the front door, and of course there's a bunch of crap out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And the apartment manager's there and two other women that I didn't know. And one of the women had her shoes in her hand because she was rushing to get over there or something or another, because there was a hell of a lot of commotion. And so the manager's like, what is going on in here? Why is a girl screaming in here? And I'm like, holy crap, I got to explain this real quick. And I was like, okay, so that was my ex-girlfriend. And I started explaining it, and I'm just vomiting. It was like, my ex-girlfriend and another girl, and I'm in a play with this other girl. Her name's, and so she asked me, and then I told her, and then she came here, and then and the one woman with the shoes said, you don't have to say another word. I know exactly what rape sounds like. And threw her shoe at me.
Oh, my Lord.
Hit me right in the head.
So you got almost stabbed and you got George
accused.
Bushed.
So I got bushed. So I got to wait for the cops. This woman that doesn't know what's happening, like he was raping a girl. The cops are like, what's up? They've got to go find Jennifer. So now the girl that just found out that I was sleeping with another girl has to vouch for me that I was not assaulting her. To her credit.
She did.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah. And you know what?
And we became friends later.
There you go. Well, as you do.
As you do. The girl that tried to attack me with a knife.
And better to keep her close.
And that's the knife story.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt's got more fun stories straight ahead. You guys